Good morning. All members, if you'll come to the floor, all members come to the floor and take your seats. All members. The hour for convening having arrived. All members will please take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by our chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain today, boy, he brought a whole bunch of good preachers today. I'm going to just tell you. And we're going to let him talk about that in a second. But our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 71st House District, Representative Judd Howard. Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It gives me great pleasure today to introduce our pastor for the day. Randy Barnhart graduated from Atlanta Christian College, now Point University, in 1976. He went on to get his master's from Emmanuel Christian Seminary and a law degree from Georgia State. Randy has served as senior pastor with his wife Wendy at First Christian Church of Carrollton for the last 12 years, and they have two children, Andrew and Benjamin. Wendy is here today along with Randy's brother Steve, and we have another preacher, my dad, Alan Howard, and my mom, Rhonda Howard, here today. And if you indulge me just a second, I'll just like to share that I love that we use the term pastor for the day. Growing up a preacher's kid, I watched my dad live out the definition of pastoral ministry. While he had an office at the church, you'd more likely find him in Emory, Piedmont, or hospitals across this state, spending the day with a family when they're in their greatest time of need. Over the years, I've heard him say that everyone has a preacher except a preacher. And that was no more true than in 2012 when my mom and dad were struck by a drunk driver and resulted in my dad losing his leg and some other injuries that ultimately led him to retire from the church he had been at for 35 years. So over the last several years, he's had to have several more procedures, and the biggest blessing is having Randy and Wendy by our family side in the hospital. And it means so much when you have that pastoral minister. So today it gives me great privilege to welcome the preacher's preacher and my friend Randy Barnhart to the People's House.
Speaker Burns, thank you for the invitation. Representative Howard and every member of the House, we thank you for your great service to this state. We don't take lightly the sacrifice, the miles you log, the hours away from family, from personal business, the criticism, the stresses of the work, and even though Americans love to play get the politician, we really do respect you, and we're grateful. And we know that we owe a debt of gratitude. The great Truett Cathy is quoted as saying, "How do you determine who needs encouragement?" He paused, and then he answered, "It's the person who is breathing, the one who is alive, everyone. The great Fred Craddock, who taught preaching for years over at Candler at Emory, had a couple of exercises that he talked about doing when he was getting ready to speak to a group. And one of them, he would write at the top of a single piece of paper, "What's it like to be?" What's it like to be? What's it like to be a widow of 61 years, forced back to work at the night shift at International Paper because nobody was ready for the departure of her husband? What's it like to be a single mom of 4 in DeKalb who's got 2 that are still in diapers and 2 that are growing faster than she knows what to do? What's it like to be the dad of a large family in rural West Georgia who drives 30 to 45 minutes to show up at Southwire and work the night shift? I love these exercises because it takes your eyes off of yourself. It takes your eyes off of what you're going to say. It makes you think about people who might hear it. Another one of his exercises, and I love this one, is he would do the same thing, right at the top of a single piece of paper, something where he could write his bullet points again. And this question was, what I know about those I do not know. What do I know about them? And you might think, well, if I don't know them, I don't know anything about them. But, when you think about it, you really do. You know a lot about every single person you meet. For instance, I'm just now meeting, if you will, some of you. And I know that everybody in here has fears. Everybody in here carries battle scars and has pain. Everybody here wants community. Everybody here wants to love and be loved. I mean, we're made that way. But somewhere on that list of what I know about those I do not know, I think near the top, we ought to put, they need encouragement. They need encouragement. Because we all do. I mean, you can bet on this. No matter who you meet, wherever you go, whatever their situation is in life, every person you come across needs a good, encouraging word. And maybe you can't solve their problems. Probably you can't. But you can give a little extra fuel for the journey. You can help somebody stand up a little straighter. And so I was just thinking, I've never been in this place before, so I'm a tourist today. But what would encouragement look like in active government amongst those who govern and who have real differences, and sometimes differences very difficult to work through. I mean, what would encouragement look like? Well, here's what I think. I think it would be people who are more concerned about the people than about the problems. And I know somebody's thinking, well, we've got things to do. We've got issues we've got to address. We've got hurdles we've got to get over. I understand that. But I think encouragement begins when you're willing to be more concerned about the people than about the problems. And I don't mean the people out there, although, yes, of course, you're representatives. I mean the people in here with whom you work, with whom you struggle and fight, you know. It's hard to be concerned about people. It's hard to be encouraging when all you're thinking about is the issue, the win, the legislation, the end result. Because you're dealing with, you know, human beings. I love that story following the assassination attempt of Ronald Reagan in 1981. Republican President Ronald Reagan, Democrat Speaker of the House Tip O'Neill. He was among the first, if not the first, that Reagan let come to visit him at George Washington University Hospital. When O'Neill entered Reagan's room, he walked over to the bed, held both of Reagan's hands in his own, and said, "God bless you, Mr. President." Reagan, you know, still groggy, tubes coming out everywhere, bags hanging all over the room. You know what it looks like. But when he saw Tip O'Neill, they said Reagan lit up like a Christmas tree. And he smiled and he said, "Thank you so much for coming, Tip." And then holding just one of the president's hands, he got down on his knees beside the bed and he said, "I'd like to pray for you, Democrat Speaker." Very Republican president. And he used the 23rd Psalm. And when he was done, they said that O'Neill stood up, kissed Reagan on the forehead. Now, I'm not suggesting that every meeting here end with a kiss across the aisle. Although if you do that, will you take pictures? I'd like to see it. But you could do a whole lot worse in this room. You could do a whole lot worse for the entire state of Georgia by being more concerned about the people than you are about the problems. Imagine this house being known as the single most encouraging place in the entire state of Georgia. More than the happiest first grade classroom. This was and became known for it, the most encouraging place. And while, you know, yes, disagreements will exist and great battles still fought and ideas debated and outcomes sought, at the same time, imagine this being a place where you literally can't walk down the hallways or sit in a committee without somebody sharing you a personally encouraging word, without you finding somebody at whom you can smile and share a word of kindness. If this were that sort of place, I mean, what impact could it have? I mean, not in the immediate, but long term. If this was the culture, the single most encouraging place in all the state of Georgia, what would that do eventually for that widow at International Paper, or the young mom in DeKalb, or the daddy fighting to keep food on the table in rural West Georgia? Or what would it do for the committee chair who just lost a spouse, or the representative who got bad news from his physician? You know, if this place, in this place, if every member of this house decided to care more about colleagues than about the concerns of the day, and they're important and you have to deal with them, and I know you will. But what if you became more concerned about colleagues than the ideas before a committee? I mean, might it have an impact on the state? I mean, you lead. You shape. I mean, might it have an impact in the people of the state of Georgia? Just remember, everybody needs encouragement. Not a soul in this place, from the speaker to the security guard, from the custodian to the committee chair, who does not need a word of encouragement. The prophet Isaiah said this: encourage the exhausted and strengthen the feeble. Tell fearful souls, courage, take heart. God is here, right here, on his way to put things right, to redress all wrongs. He's on his way. He will save you. Listen, when I said thank you, I meant it. You do remarkable work here, and you do have great impact. You cause hope to rise, and we all thank you. So I want to leave you with this word of encouragement. Now, not all of it will sound exactly like encouragement, but it is, I believe. Comes from the late Tim Keller. And he says this: I'm so sinful that Jesus had to die for me, yet so loved and valued that he was glad to do it. Or said more inclusively, we're more sinful and flawed than we ever dared believe. Yet at the same time, we're more loved and accepted than we ever dared hope. So let me, if you will, please pray for you and for the great state of Georgia. Heavenly Father, I thank you for every woman and man in this room, for their willingness to endure on behalf of others, for every night at home given up and every dollar of sacrifice given over. So guide each one here, that they might individually and collectively be an encouragement to us all by being an encouragement to each other in radical fashion. We ask this in the name of him who gave his life for us all, even Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. I'm encouraged.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Randy, for those words. Thank you for encouraging us with those words, and we appreciate that. Members, doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you can join Brother Randy in the South Annie room, have a photo, and thank him for his service to us today. Members, our doctor of the day today is brought to us by Representative McQueen of the 61st House District, Dr. LaJune Oliver. Dr. Oliver, we appreciate you being here. She's down in the aid station. We appreciate the service. Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audit, is recognized. Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal the previous day and found it to be correct. And Mr. Speaker, in the words of the Bon Jovi, we are halfway there and we're living on a prayer. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You right spot on there, brother. Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Hearing none, the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Administration of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. First reading the bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 508 by Representative Jackson of the 68th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Bell of the 75th, Miles of the 126th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 4, Chapter 11, Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to carrying and possession of firearms.
That was from Keith, but I just sent Ronnie into it and grab your copy too.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 509 by Representative Jackson of the 68th, Blaze of the 67th, Schofield of the 63rd, and Davis of the 87th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2, Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to elections and primaries generally.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 510 by Representative Jackson of the 68th, Schofield of the 63rd, Alexander of the 66th, Davis of the 87th, Glaze of the 67th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 19.6.15 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to child support guidelines.
The Judiciary.
House Bill 511 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th, Blackman of the 146th, Williams of the 148th, Burchett of the 176th, Hatchett of the 155th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 32 and 33 in Code Section 48.727 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to property insurance and computation of taxable net income.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 512 by Representative Lewis Ward of the 115th, Hughley of the 141st, Washburn of the 144th, Powell of the 33rd, Campbell of the 35th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to regulation of specialized land transactions.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 513 by Representative LaHood of the 175th, Anderson of the 10th, Burchett of the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, Prince of the 132nd. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 70, Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to service delivery.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 514 by Representative Seaball of the 34th, Campbell of the 35th, Ridley the 22nd, Parsons the 44th, and Jones the 60th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act providing a new charter for the city of Kennesaw.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 515 by Representative Newton into the 127th, Prince to the 132nd, Miles to the 126th, Howard to the 129th, and Hefner to the 130th. Bill be titled and act to amend code sections 15, 6, 2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating the number of judges of superior courts.
Judiciary.
House Bill 516 by Representative New to the 40th, Hawkins to the 27th, Ballard to the 147th, Scoggins to the 14th, Persinger to the 119th, and others. Bill be titled and act to amend code section 50, 14.1 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to meetings open to the public.
State Planning and Community Affairs.
House Bill 517 by Representative Berry of the 56th, Ballard of the 147th, Lallier the 59th, Green of the 154th, Hagan of the 156th, and others. Bill be titled and act to amend code section 22, 154 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to remedial education programs under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 518 by Representative Holcomb of the 101st, a bill be titled and act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 17 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to searches and seizures.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 519 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, Mathis, the 133rd, Reeves, the 99th, and Williams, the 148th. Bill be titled and act to amend Article 2, Chapter 7, Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to imposition rate computation exemptions and credits.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 520 by Representative Mathiak of the 82nd, Powell of the 33rd, Montana of the 17th, Williams, the 168th, Dempsey the 13th, and others. Bill be titled and act to amend Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to health.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 521 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, LaHood of the 175th, Leverett of the 123rd, Cannon of the 172nd, Kelly the 16th, and others. Bill be titled and act to amend Article 8 of Chapter 36 and Title 36 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to municipal de-annexation.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 522 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, Scoggins of the 14th, Mathiak of the 82nd, Gamble of the 15th. Bill be titled and act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding health.
Health.
House Bill 523 by Representative Gullett of the 19th and Cannon of the 172nd. Bill be titled and act to amend Article 2, Chapter 36 and Title 36 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to annexation pursuant to application by 100% of landowners.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 524 by Representative Bell of the 75th, Mitchell of the 88th, McQueen of the 61st, Berry the 56th, and Roman of the 97th. Bill be titled and act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 45 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding public officers and employees.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 525 by Representative Gullett of the 19th and Smith of the 18th. Bill be titled and act to amend Chapter 16 and Title 17 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to discovery.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 526 by Representative Newton of the 127th, Stevens of the 164th, Buckner of the 137th, Washburn of the 144th, and Petrie of the 166th. Bill be titled and act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 and Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to ad valorem taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 527 by Representative Tran of the 80th, Holcomb of the 101st, Campbell the 35th, Carpenter of the 4th, and Roberts of the 52nd. Bill be titled and act to amend Code Section 1915-2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to Protocol Committee on Child Abuse.
Judiciary Juvenile.
House Bill 528 by Representative Buckner of the 137th, Hagan of the 156th, Hughley the 141st, Stevens the 164th, Oliver of the 84th, and others. Bill be titled and act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to revenue and taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 529 by Representative Baird of the 24th, Abstration of the 104th, Holcomb of the 101st, Gaines of the 120th, Camp of the 135th, and others. Bill be titled and act to amend Title 13 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to contracts.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 530 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, Reeves of the 99th, Scoggins the 14th, Kelly the 16th, Oliver of the 84th. Bill be titled and act to amend Article 4, Chapter 9 and Title 15 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to time, place, and procedure.
Judiciary.
House Bill 531 by Representative Lever to the 123rd, abstention of the 104th, Gunner of the 8th, Reeves of the 99th, Silcox of the 53rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 5, 6, 34 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to judgments and rulings.
Judiciary.
House Bill 532 by Representative Deloach of the 167th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 12, 6A 12 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to annual grant when state owns property and calculations.
The Ways and Means.
House Bill 533 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th, Holcomb of the 101st, abstention of the 104th, Wiedauer of the 121st, Smith of the 18th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend titles 17 and 28 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to criminal procedure and the General Assembly.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 534 by Representative Jackson of the 68th and Glaze of the 67th. Bill be titled an act to authorize the governing authority of the City of Fairburn to levy an excise tax.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 535 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Hong of the 103rd, Lever of the 123rd, Evans of the 57th, and Miller of the 62nd. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Sections 42, 8, 38 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to arrest or graduated sanctions.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 536 by Representative Jackson of the 68th and Glaze of the 67th. Bill be titled an act to create the Public Facilities Authority of the City of Fairburn.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 537 by Representative Blackman of the 146th. A bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 8 and Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Resolution 303 by Representative Williams, the 148th, a resolution recognizing Mr. Johnny Floyd and dedicating an interchange in his honor.
Transportation.
House Resolution 304 by Representative Owell, the 50th, Cooper, the 45th, Hawkins, the 27th, Stevens, the 164th, and Buckner, the 137th, a resolution creating the House Study Committee on the Costs and Effects of Smoking.
Public and Community Health.
Senate Bill 45 by Senator Watson of the 11th, Hickman of the 4th, Goodman of the 8th, Anderson of the 24th, and Kennedy of the 18th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48, 5, 7.4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to preferential assessment for bona fide conservation use.
Ways and Means.
Senate Bill 59 by Senator Watson of the 11th, Hickman of the 4th, Goodman of the 8th, Anderson of the 24th, Summers of the 13th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48, 5, 7.4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to preferential assessment for bona fide conservation use.
Ways and Means.
Senate Bill 77 by Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd, Setzler of the 37th. The bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of Cartersville Independent School District ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 89 by Senator Strickland of the 42nd, Hatchett of the 50th, Brass of the 6th, Beach of the 21st, Red of the 33rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 7 and Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to income taxes.
Ways and Means.
Senate Bill 137 by Senator Dixon of the 45th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act to incorporate the City of Mulberry.
Intergovernmental coordination.
The Senate Resolution 56 by Senator Watson of the 11th, Hickman of the 4th, Goodman of the 8th, Anderson of the 24th, and Kennedy of the 18th. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to increase the maximum acreage.
Ways and Means.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 467 by Representative Powell of the 33rd, Mathiak of the 82nd, Seabaugh of the 34th, Tarvin of the 2nd, Cameron of the 1st, and others. A bill relating to the state flag, seal, and other symbols. House Bill 468 by Representative Huddleston of the 72nd, a bill to amend an act providing for the Heard County Board of Education. House Bill 469 by Representative Berry of the 56th, Westbrook of the 163rd, Jackson of the 165th, Crawford of the 89th, Owl of the 50th, and others. A bill relating to carrying and possession of firearms. House Bill 470 by Representative Berry of the 56th, Sanchez of the 42nd, Ramon of the 97th, Park of the 107th, Cannon of the 58th, and others. A bill relating to offenses involving illegal aliens. House Bill 471 by Representative Chokas of the 151st, Dubnik of the 29th, Green of the 154th, Hawkins of the 27th, Barrett of the 24th, and others. A bill relating to regulation of hospitals and related institutions. House Bill 472 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, Crow of the 118th, Stevens of the 164th, Holcomb of the 101st, New of the 40th, and others. A bill relating to carrying weapons or long guns in unauthorized locations. House Bill 473 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, Hawkins of the 27th, Newton of the 127th. A bill relating to controlled substances. House Bill 474 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill relating to county and municipal levies on public accommodation charges for promotion of tourism, conventions, and trade shows. House Bill 475 by Representative Gamble of the 15th, McDonald of the 26th, Wade of the 9th, Hong of the 103rd, Blackman of the 146th, and others. A bill relating to income tax credits for film, gaming, video, or digital production. House Bill 476 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, Petrie of the 166th, Franklin of the 160th, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Bryan County School District ad valorem taxes. House Bill 477 by Representative Bazemore of the 69th, Gilliard of the 162nd, Crawford of the 89th, Bennett of the 94th, Kendrick of the 95th, and others. A bill relating to regulation of rates, underwriting rules, and related organizations. House Bill 478 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, a bill relating to the Fair Business Practices Act. House Bill 479 by Representative Carson of the 46th, Dubnik of the 29th, Kelly of the 16th, Carpenter of the 4th, Crow of the 118th, and others. A bill relating to imposition rate computation, exemptions, and credits relative to income taxes. House Bill 480 by Representative Jones of the 143rd, Hughley of the 141st, McQueen of the 61st, Williams of the 168th, McLean of the 109th, and others. A bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 481 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, Leverett of the 123rd, Saines of the 180th, Smith of the 18th, Draper of the 90th. A bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 482 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, Silcox of the 53rd, Evans of the 57th, Smith of the 18th. A bill relating to general provisions regarding superior courts. House Bill 483 by Representative Prince of the 132nd, Leverett of the 123rd, Smith of the 18th, Reeves of the 99th, Roberts of the 52nd, and others. A bill relating to assault and battery. House Bill 484 by Representative Yercha of the 152nd, Efstration of the 104th, Scoggins of the 14th, Anderson of the 10th, and Leverett of the 123rd. A bill relating to the General Assembly. House Bill 485 by Representative Yerta of the 152nd, Efstration of the 104th, Scoggins of the 14th, Smith of the 18th, and Barrett of the 24th. A bill to repeal various provisions enacted prior to 2013 which are contingent upon funding and which remain unfunded. House Bill 486 by Representative Hong of the 103rd, Borkheiser of the 157th, Franklin of the 160th, Stevens of the 164th, Park of the 107th, and others. A bill relating to general provisions regarding state government. House Bill 487 by Representative Ballard of the 147th, Dubnik of the 29th, Thomas of the 21st, Jones of the 25th, Hilton of the 48th. A bill relating to competencies and core curriculum under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 488 by Representative Westbrook of the 163rd, Miller of the 62nd, Oliver of the 84th, Lemon of the 98th, Park of the 107th, and others. A bill relating to perinatal facilities. House Bill 489 by Representative Westbrook of the 163rd, Miller of the 62nd, Oliver of the 84th, Lemon of the 98th, Park of the 107th, and others. A bill relating to the Department of Public Health. House Bill 490 by Representative Bazemore of the 69th, Hughley of the 141st, Park of the 107th, Miller of the 62nd, Evans of the 57th. The bill relating to kidnapping, false imprisonment, related offenses. House Bill 491 by Representative Chastain of the 7th, Rhodes of the 124th, Howard of the 71st, Mathis of the 133rd, Ridley of the 6th, and others. A bill relating to hunting and non-commercial fishing. House Bill 492 by Representative Crow of the 118th and Stevens of the 164th. A bill relating to county and municipal levies on public accommodation charges for promotion of tourism, conventions, and trade shows. House Bill 493 by Representative Howard of the 71st, Huddleston of the 72nd, Ridley of the 6th, Mathis of the 133rd, Ford of the 170th, and others. A bill relating to other state symbols. House Bill 494 by Representative McLean of the 109th, Hefner of the 130th, Okoye of the 102nd, Alexander of the 66th, and Taylor of the 92nd. A bill relating to mopeds. House Bill 496 by Representative Clark of the 108th, Miller of the 62nd, Ridley of the 22nd, Jackson of the 68th, Kendrick of the 95th. A bill relating to arrest by law enforcement officers. House Bill 497 by Representative Clark of the 108th, Miller of the 62nd, Ridley of the 22nd, Jackson of the 68th, Kendrick of the 95th. A bill relating to conditions of detention generally. House Bill 498 by Representative Hefner of the 130th, Howard of the 129th, Miles of the 126th, Newton of the 127th, Prince of the 132nd. A bill to authorize the governing authority of Augusta Richmond County to levy an excise tax. House Bill 499 by Representative Buckner of the 137th, Schofield of the 63rd, Westbrook of the 163rd, Bernal of the 77th, Bennett of the 94th, and others. A bill relating to sales and use taxes. House Bill 500 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Cooper of the 45th, Camp of the 135th, Hilton of the 48th, Schofield of the 63rd, and others. A bill relating to the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Act. House Bill 501 by Representative Draper of the 90th, Miles of the 126th, Campbell of the 35th, Griffin of the 149th, Roberts of the 52nd. A bill relating to elections and primaries generally. House Bill 502 by Representative Draper of the 90th, LaHood of the 175th, Fleming of the 114th, Camp of the 135th, Leverett of the 123rd, and others. A bill relating to elections and primaries generally. House Bill 503 by Representative Draper of the 90th, Griffin of the 149th, Campbell of the 35th, and Miles of the 126th. A bill relating to elections and primaries generally. House Bill 504 by Representative Moptahan of the 17th and Barton of the 5th. A bill relating to selling and other trade practices. House Bill 505 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Onatucci of the 105th, and Barrett of the 24th. A bill relating to education. House Bill 506 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Mathiak of the 82nd, Silcox of the 53rd, and Stevens of the 164th. A bill relating to medical assistance generally. House Bill 507 by Representative Camp of the 135th, Powell of the 33rd, Stevens of the 164th, Turner of the 85th, Gullett of the 19th. A bill relating to electrical service. House Resolution 272 by Representative Glaze of the 67th, Dickey of the 134th, Townsend of the 179th, Paris of the 142nd, Campbell of the 35th, and others. A resolution encouraging the United States Congress to adopt legislation requiring the United States Department of Agriculture to modify eligibility requirements for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program for students enrolled in institutions of higher education. House Resolution 273 by Representative Hong of the 103rd, Yerta of the 152nd, Franklin of the 160th, Stevens of the 164th, Park of the 107th, and others. Resolution designating the city of Incheon, South Korea as the sister city of the state of Georgia. House Resolution 274 by Representative Westbrook of the 163rd, Miller of the 62nd, Oliver of the 84th, Lim of the 98th, Park of the 107th, and others. A resolution urging the General Assembly to provide an additional $2 million annually to the Georgia Pregnancy and Early Childhood Home Visiting Program. House Resolution 275 by Representative Glaze of the 67th, McQueen of the 61st, Dawson of the 65th. A resolution supporting an increase in the minimum school dropout age from 16 to 17 years old in the state of Georgia. House Resolution 276 by Representative Campbell of the 35th, Hughley of the 141st, Miller of the 62nd, Bennett of the 94th, Westbrook of the 163rd, and others. A resolution to commemorate the Equal Rights Amendment as the law of the land. Senate Bill 52 by Senator Goodman of the 8th, Kennedy of the 18th, Hillary of the 19th, Gooch of the 51st, Jones of the 22nd, and others. A bill relating to ad valorem taxation of property. Senate Bill 58 by Senator Albers of the 56th, Hofstetler of the 52nd, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Watson of the 1st, Kennedy of the 18th, and others. A bill relating to emergency medical services. Senate Bill 81 by Senator Brass of the 6th, Walker of the 20th, Summers of the 13th, Kennedy of the 18th, Jones of the 22nd, and others. A bill relating to motor vehicle franchise practices. Through second readers.
Members, we're going to have reports on standing committees, but then we're going to do some invite resolutions. So I encourage you to come to your seats so you can give attention to some very important folks we have visiting the chamber this morning. Mr. Clerk, reports of standing committees. Clerk will read.
Representative Williams of the 148th District Chairman of the Committee on Banks and Banking submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Banks and Banking has had under its consideration the following bills to the House. It's instructed me to report same back to the House the following recommendations. House Bill 240 do pass. House Bill 241 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 377 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Williams of the 148th District Chairman. Representative Victor Anderson of the 10th District Chairman of the Committee on Governmental Affairs submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Governmental Affairs Affairs has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 318 do pass. House Bill 414 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Victor Anderson of the 10th District, Chairman. Representative Hawkins, the 27th District Chairman of the Committee on Health, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Health has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 322 do pass by substitute. House Bill 227 do pass by substitute. House Bill 154 do pass by substitute. House Bill 327, 329 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Hawkins, the 27th District, Chairman. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman of the Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Higher Education has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 150 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 172 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman. Representative Lumsden of the 12th District, Chairman of the Committee on Insurance, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Insurance has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and the Senate. It's instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 348 do pass. House Bill 410 do pass. House Bill 420 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 35 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Lumsden of the 12th District, Chairman. Representative Mandy Ballinger of the 23rd District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary Juvenile, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary Juvenile has had under its consideration the following bill of the House. Has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 435 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Mandy Ballinger of the 23rd District, Chairman. Representative Tyler Paul Smith of the 18th District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 123 do pass. House Bill 171 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 176 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 222 do pass. House Bill 242 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 460 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Tyler Paul Smith of the 18th District, Chairman. Representative Lynn Smith of the 70th District, Chairman of the Committee on Natural Resources and Environment, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Natural Resources and Environment has had under its consideration the following bill of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 320 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Lynn Smith of the 70th District, Chairman. Representative Clint Crow, the 118th District, Chairman of the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 295 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 309 do pass. House Bill 315 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 350 do pass. House Bill 423 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Clint Crow of the 118th District, Chairman. Representative Carson of the 46th District, Chairman of the Committee on Retirement, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Retirement has had under its consideration the following bill of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 78 to pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Carson of the 46th District, Chairman. Representative Mitchell Scoggins of the 14th District, Chairman of the Committee on Special Rules, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Special Rules has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 14 do pass. House Bill 233 do pass. House Bill 444 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Mitchell Scoggins of the 14th District, Chairman. Representative Gerald Green of the 154th District, Chairman of the Committee on State Properties, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on State Properties has had under its consideration the following bills and resolution to the House and instructed me to report same back to the House the following recommendation. House Bill 254 do pass. House Resolution 121 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Gerald Green of the 154th District, Chairman. Representative Jones, the 25th District Chairman of the Committee on Technology and Infrastructure Innovation, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Technology and Infrastructure Innovation has had under its consideration the following bill of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House the following recommendation. House Bill 15060 passed by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jones, the 25th District Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Members, I'm going to give you just a second to get to your seats. Members will take their seats. We have several really important invite resolutions we're going to take up right now. So it's always important to each one of us when we have an invite resolution that the members are in their seats and giving your attention as we honor some very important folks from all over Georgia. Members, please take your seats. If you have a conversation that needs to occur, please take it to the ante room. We have a lot of things to do today. None more important than these invite resolutions. Chairman Parrish, while we are getting in our seats, I'm going to invite you up and your folks who you're here the honor today, and I'll let you explain it. Mr. Clerk, will you read House Resolution 283?
House Resolution 283 by Representative Parrish, the 158th Taylor, the 173rd Green, and the 154th Jackson, the 128th Buckner, the 137th, and others. A resolution recognizing February 20th, 2025 as Community Health Centers Day and commending Georgia Primary Care Association.
Chairman of Rules, Representative Butch Parrish is recognized to speak to the resolution. Chairman Parrish.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, today is Community Health Centers Day here at the Capitol. And I know many of you are familiar with them. The Community Health Center system is set up to improve access to quality, affordable health care in Georgia for all Georgians. And for the new members that may not be aware of this House over the years has been a leader in working with the community health centers in trying to promote access to quality health care all over this state. On your desk, you'll find a map that'll give you an outline of where the community centers are located, and you can see the ones that are in your district. There are 36 health center organizations. They're all nonprofits, 501c3s. These 36 organizations have 330 sites in 140 of our counties around the state. Last year, they saw over 700,000 patients who were served at these health centers throughout Georgia. And they provide over 4,500 jobs across this state. The federally qualified health centers, as we strive to improve health in this state, the House has been instrumental in starting these health centers. We started with primary health care, then we started with behavioral health, and now the student-based health centers that are located in the schools to help with that. During the Hurricane Helene, these centers provided health to many people all across this state in health care. They are really the true safety net in this state to take care of folks who have no place else to go. It's my pleasure to introduce some of these people that are here today. Jenny Wren, Denmark, East Georgia Healthcare, just raise your hand right here. Stephen Miracle from Georgia Mountains, Blue Ridge. Doug Bridges, MedLink board member from Winder. Stephanie Jones-Heath, Diversity Healthcare Center in Hinesville. And Albert Gandy, who is with the Curtis Cooper Center in Savannah. And Albert is the president of the statewide Association of Community Health Centers. And Albert, would you come up and just say your word of thanks, please?
Well, good morning. I want to thank Speaker Burns. It's nice seeing you again. Chairman Parrish, for your support of the community health centers. We are honored that your continued support has saved lives for many of the residents in Georgia, and we just hope you continue to support, and thank you.
Thank y'all.
Dale and I are two of Jenny Wren's customers in East Georgia, so we appreciate. And Albert, we also have a relationship with Curtis Cooper in my home county of Effingham for mental health services with our local hospital. So these folks are getting it done, y'all, all over our state, in rural Georgia and in urban Georgia. Thank y'all. We're a big fan of FQHCs. Appreciate what y'all do. Thank y'all for being here. Chairman Parrish left one thing off. I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I failed to recognize a group of very important people who are with the community health centers in the gallery up here. So would you folks stand so that the House could recognize you and thank you for what y'all do for health care in this state? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
If some of these folks serve your community, they'll be in the South Annie room. You can come out and greet them and get a photo if you'd like to. Chairman Stevens. We have the opportunity to recognize a very iconic company in our state who has a long presence here, but I'll let the chairman give you a little more description. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Resolution 48? House Resolution 48.
House Resolution 48 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, Hitchens of the 161st, Westbrook of the 163rd, Petrie the 166th, and Jackson the 165th. A resolution congratulating Great Dane upon the 125th anniversary of its founding.
Chairman Ron Stevens is recognized to speak to the resolution. Representative Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 125 years, to give you some perspective of the jobs that were created down on the coast of Georgia. And this is right along the time that the Wright brothers were considering to invent the airplane. Way before we had the paper industry, way before the sugar refinery, the jobs that were created there. This company's been a staple and has evolved over the years, if you will, to create jobs and sustain jobs. Yes, sir.
Just for a minute. This is too important. Conversations will focus on the chairman. Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As they continue just to give you some perspective again for these jobs that were created and continue to evolve after 125 years, the dome that's on top of this building here today was 11 years old, and they're still going strong. Hope you'll help welcome the folks from Great Dane today to celebrate the 125 years, and I'll give the mic to Rick Mullinex. Would you give him a hand?
Mr. Speaker and distinguished members of the House, my name is Rick Mullinex. I serve as the President and COO of Great Dane, where I've worked for 45 years. Thank you for welcoming me and my colleagues to commemorate our company's 125th anniversary. What began as an idea to help people work more efficiently has remained our calling card for 125 years. As we look back on each decade, our story is intertwined with America's story. As our nation evolved with changing times, so our company responded with adaptability and innovation, also changing with the times. When people pass Great Dane trailers and truck bodies on the road, they may just see a box on wheels, but we see the people behind our products. We see the engineers who invent components based on customers' needs and challenges, offering innovations that are found nowhere else on the road. We see our team members, some second, third, and fourth generation family members, who are working side by side in our manufacturing plants and our corporate offices, all united by a passion for building products that help our communities thrive. And we see our customers we serve and the people across our nation who rely on our trailers to deliver what they need. Essential products like medicine and food and building supplies, and also products we simply enjoy, like Leopold's ice cream from our hometown of Savannah. So we thank you for this moment and for celebrating more than just trailers and truck bodies, but the resilience, the pioneering spirit, and the innovations that define Great Dane and keep our nation moving forward. We're grateful for this commendation, for it honors those who have come before us, and we hope that it inspires the next generation of Great Dane colleagues to follow that legacy. Thank you.
Well, members, you also recognize a Great Dane trailer by that iconic symbol of a Great Dane in that symbol as well as the name. So it's a big dog, so it's a very important part of where we come from down in southeast Georgia, but an important part of commerce across this country, not only in Georgia. So thank y'all for being here, and thank you for Great Dane and what you mean to our communities. Thank you, members. Members, if you'll give your attention to the well, please. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Resolution 237?
House Resolution 237 by Representative Howell, the 50th, a resolution recognizing and commending John Suttles.
We're pleased to welcome some distinguished guests to the House this morning, and I'm going to ask Representative Michelle Al to tell us exactly who they are and explain to and speak to this resolution. Representative?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone. Today, it is my privilege to introduce my constituents, John and Kay Suttles, to the Georgia House of Representatives. I'd also like to welcome Mayor John Bradbury of Johns Creek, former State Rep. Melvin Everson, and Mr. Shea Foley, who are with us in support today. On March 7th, 1965, when he was just 16 years old, John joined hundreds of civil rights activists from all backgrounds to march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge on their way to Montgomery, Alabama. All of us know the rest of the story of Bloody Sunday, and there are some in this chamber right now who are also leaders in the civil rights movement. And that long, hard-won fight culminating in the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. I remember talking to Mr. Suttles the first time we met, and something he said really stuck with me. He mentioned how worried his mom had been on that day in 1965. He was just 16 years old, remember. She was worried just as any mom would be, scared that her baby would get hurt. And I think that resonates with every parent in this room, the ways we want to protect our children, even as we trust them, and even as we believe in the righteous causes they commit themselves to. And it reminds me how sometimes our children teach us how to be brave. So today, living in Johns Creek, John and Kay continue to teach. They have committed themselves to education and gifting our students lessons on our history, the importance of civic engagement through voting, political participation, and civic engagement. And they teach me, too, that the story of America is a long one, still unfinished, that we continue to write together. Please join me in welcoming our guests, Mr. John and Kay Suttles.
Well, thank you very much. From Selma, Alabama to Washington, D.C. to Georgia. I am very honored to be here this morning. On behalf of my wife and myself and all of Johns Creek and Michelle Owl, good morning, and thank you once again for inviting me.
I'm honored to meet you. Thank you for your lifelong engagement and making things doing right and teaching lessons.
Thank you.
This you on that side. Hey, man. Let's take
This is your phone. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I almost stole your phone.
Thank you, Mr. Suttles, for your lifelong engagement and encouragement. Members, you can join the Suttles in the South Ante room and speak to them and thank them for their service to their community and to our country, and certainly have a photo. Thank you, members. We have one more invite resolution. I'm going to ask you to give your attention to the gentleman in the well, and as to the clerk, as he reads the caption to House Resolution 282. Mr. Clerk.
House Resolution 282 by Representative Martin of the 49th and Barrett of the 24th, a resolution recognizing and commending the 2024 Technical College System of Georgia Award winners.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Representative Chairman Chuck Martin is recognized to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great honor today. We have some individuals we want to honor for their accomplishments, and I will soon turn the mic over to the Chief of Staff, to the Commissioner, Mr. Mark Peavy, to do that. But before I do that, please notice on your desk is information about our Technical College System of Georgia and our apprenticeship program. That is on your desk. I could say take much longer than the speaker will give me this morning to talk about the good things that these folks do. But without ado, we have some award winners from the Technical College System, and I would like to step aside and allow Mark Peavy, the Chief of Staff, to Commissioner Dozier, to bring those people forward and introduce them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the body. I'll get out of your way quickly. We're very excited to be here with you today. I want to share with you some of the best of the best in terms of who TCSG serves. I will let them step to the mic themselves and introduce each one, but this is our winners of the year for our technical education teacher, technical education student, adult education student, and adult education teachers. We're very thankful to have them. If you would just step real quickly and say hello.
Hello, my name is Ray Brashear. I'm adult education teacher of the year.
Thank you. Yeah. I think that's all the time that we're going to have.
Good morning. I'm Patria Brown, and I'm the Adult Education Student of the Year.
Maybe if we can just swap out.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Rucker, and I'm 2024 Gold Student of the Year.
Good morning. My name is Shirako Farley. I'm from Central Georgia Tech. I'm a commercial truck driving instructor, and I'm your Rick Perkins Award winner for 2024.
Each of these folks have a tremendous story. We would invite every one of you, if you have the opportunity to come to either our Eagle or Adult Education Banquet of the Year in March or our Gold Banquet of the Year in April, and hear their stories and folks like them across the state. We're so appreciative for the support that this body provides to the technical college system in Georgia.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you recognize them, I want to remind you that we probably all have a technical college or a location of a technical college in our district or very close to it. Get out and visit these folks. They're doing great work for Georgians.
Congratulations to all the winners and the recognition. We're proud of y'all, and thanks for what you do. If you'd like to join all of these winners in that South Annie room, you're more than welcome to do that and get a photo with them and congratulate them on their awards. We're moving on to morning orders. We're going to ask you to try your best to hold it to 1 minute, and we'll let you know about the 1 minute when the lights go off. And do your best to hold it to 1 minute. We're going to begin morning orders by recognizing the Chairman of Appropriations, Chairman Hatchett. Representative Glaze, you're on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, it's my pleasure to be able to introduce to y'all for my 15th time a group that's been around. This is their 60th year of existence. Not the people that have been doing the volunteer work, but this is the 60th anniversary of the Dublin Lawrence St. Patrick's Festival. The group that organizes this is in the gallery. Thank you for being here, and please stand so we can recognize you and welcome you to your capital. Thank you.
I think they named a little town over across the border after you guys, didn't y'all were here first, Dublin? Something like that. Good to have y'all. Thanks for staying with this great celebration all these years. We appreciate y'all. Thanks. I love you, green coats. Representative Glaze and friends is recognized for a morning order. Representative Campbell, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We rise today to recognize a group that is with us, the Georgia Teacher Leader Consortium, which is a group of national board certified teachers and educators who are committed to elevating the teaching profession in Georgia. And so our leader here today with us, President and CEO, is Dr. Heavenly Montgomery, and Dr. Alita Denson, the Vice President, who is also the first African American who was certified in the state of Georgia under the National Board Certification Teachers. If you're in the gallery, would you stand? There are others with them, but we only have 1 minute. Thank you so much for what you do in supporting teachers around Georgia and making sure our teachers are the best in the classrooms. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Representative. Thank you, ladies, for y'all's work. You're helping a lot of people. We appreciate you. Representative Campbell is recognized for a morning order, and Representative Jackson, you're on deck. Representative you have friends too. Wait just a minute. Don't get started till your friends get here. Representative Derek Jackson is on deck.
You want to come?
Wait, just a minute. You got one more. The leader wants to get here. Ladies, recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hope you will give us at least a minute to talk about 100 years of work for women. Today, I invite all members here who believe in equal rights for women to join me here in the well. Men, women, both parties, independents, because I'm overjoyed to share the words that I have dreamed of my entire life, as have millions of women across our state and our country, as we welcome the introduction of these resolutions to ratify the ERA here in Georgia, and to acknowledge the affirmation of President Joe Biden that the ERA has met the necessary requirements to be added to the U.S. Constitution. This is a long-awaited and monumental victory in the advancement of equal rights for American women. Securing equal rights for women under the law, it reflects decades, more than 100 years of tireless advocacy to recognize women in the passage. I want to recognize women from the League of Women Voters, the National Organization of Women, and others who are here today. And I dedicate today's morning order to all of the women who've come before us, including my wise mother, Gail Campbell, who chose equal. And we honor the work of our foremothers, our grandmothers, our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, and our allies, and we pledge to carry on their legacy. Thank you.
Representative Derek Jackson. Are you going to join him, Representative Reese?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to let him join you, Representative Jackson?
You didn't invite us to the well yet, so I was just reminding.
I mean, okay, we got you. I just wanted to make sure you wanted him up there with you. Representative Jackson's recognized.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is my 9th year introducing this phenomenal first-class organization that was birthed over 118 years by 7 young men in Ithaca, New York, that were matriculating in Cornell University. Will the men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated please stand? We are also blessed to have our Georgia District Director, James Ford II, our immediate past District Director, Brother Sherman Lofton. Thank you.
Awesome. How many years ago did you say?
118 years.
Wow. Congratulations. Thanks for being here.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to add, just in case anybody wondered why it was so cold outside today, it's because the alphas are in the house.
Welcome to the People's House. Thanks for cooling it off, too. We appreciate it.
If you all could come down to the 3rd floor so we can take pictures.
Come down to that 3rd floor ante room, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We yield the well.
Representative David Clark. The gentleman's recognized. Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise to recognize and thank my good friend and business leader, Holger Stahl from Elevation Medical USA. Based in Germany, Mr. Stahl opened his American headquarters here in Georgia that provides great paying jobs to hardworking Georgians. Thank you, Mr. Stahl, for your commitment to Georgia, improving our healthcare system, and bringing jobs to our great state. I also want to congratulate Mr. Stahl and his team on winning the Coolest Thing Made in the USA Award from the German-American Chamber of Commerce. Colleagues, please help me welcome Mr. Stahl to the House Chamber. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Reeves, do you have friends also? Representative Crow?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Any Mercer alumni, parents,
Mercer alumni,
friends of Mercer.
Mercer alumni. Wait a minute, there's one coming. There's 2 coming. Boy, Mercer's doing well. Well, yeah, you get up there too. If you attended, you can do that as well. What an influence Mercer has on this state. Look at this, man. Wow.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to present House Resolution 291. We have some Mercer undergrad and law students here, along with Professor Chris Grant. Stand up, students. Let's let the House welcome you up there. They will be in the Senate mezzanine if you want to go give them some words of wisdom today. Mercer has 9,200 students. It was founded in Penfield, Georgia in 1833, won the Southern Conference Football Championship last year, and has 12 great schools, 2 of which are represented today. So let's let the Mercer students know how much we appreciate them coming.
Go there.
Go ahead.
Go Bears.
We yield the well.
Representative Bell, recognized for a morning order. Leader Hughley, you're next.
Colleagues, today I rise to honor the Mirror 100 program of the 100 Black Men of South Metro. The Mirror 100 program is for educational and occupational guidance of the youth. The program was established to create a holistic youth development for disenfranchised youth for various home environments. The concept of male initiative for recruitment, reward, and overall retention, Mirror 100 program was born out of necessity to address the various development needs of a program. The young men and their directors are with me, Jared Fields and Ladre Gilbert. If you would please stand to acknowledge them in the gallery. I yield the will.
Leader Hughley is recognized for a morning order. Give the lady your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I have the honor of presenting a group of young leaders from Columbus. They're from the Leadership Academy, Reese Road Leadership Academy. They're the Reese Road Runners, and we want them to stand and let you all greet them today. Thank you.
Good to have y'all here. We appreciate y'all putting your best foot forward and making an effort to be great leaders, as you've had some before you over in Columbus. Representative Billy Mitchell is recognized, and friends. Easy now. Gentleman's recognized.
I have the distinct honor of recognizing Trinity Girls Network, where they empower young ladies and girls with opportunity through education and leadership. Mr. Speaker, they are led by Ambassador Dr. Jacqueline Mohair. I'm happy to serve on their board. Please stand as I call your name, Dr. Jacqueline Mohair, former Representative Dr. D. Dawkins Hagler, all the way from Philadelphia, Dr. Salome Bay, as we celebrate Dr. Salome Bay Day here in Georgia, Dr. Shakina Day, Ms. Michelle Rice Kirkwood, Dr. Regina Gibbs, Dr. Pat Houston, who is the sister-in-law of the late, great Whitney Houston, and Morgan Mohair, Brooke Palmgren, and others from the Trinity Girls Network. Please help me welcome them to the House on this Girls Empowerment Day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Mitchell. Thanks for being at your state capitol today, and we appreciate y'all being in the House. Always good to have good folks in the House. All right, we're going to take up right now morning orders with Representative New and her friends, but then Representative Berry and a number of folks will be on deck. Representative Berry, if you'll get your folks down front, that would be helpful. Representative New is recognized.
Any friends that'd like to join? Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. We have some special folks here in the House today. Our probate and magistrate and superior court judges are here. If you're in the audience, if you will, please stand. They may already be at the Senate. There we go. Oh, there's one there. Thank you for your service to our communities. Please join me in welcoming them to the People's House.
Good job.
Thank you.
They were here early this morning, so it's good to have y'all. on this cool day in Atlanta. We appreciate what y'all do across our state. Representative Berry and friends recognized for a morning order. Give the gentleman your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We want to acknowledge the most important people in the world are here today. Teachers and members of GAE, Georgia Association of Educators, are here for GAE Day. They are everywhere and having lots of busy things happening, so they might not be in the gallery. If there are any, would you please stand and let us say hello? Yes. Thank you so much for everything you do for the students of Georgia. We really appreciate you. Members, if you see them in the hall or in the Capitol today, please say hello and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Newton, Representative Seabob Mathis, going to talk about being healthy. All right, I want to hear this.
All right, pay attention. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a little bit about your own health today. I'm here with two gentlemen who are, along with many others out there, who are working on diabetes, recognizing, as y'all remember, we started this February month off with wearing red for heart health. The whole month of February is a heart health month. One of the most key risk factors is diabetes. So we're working on gestational diabetes, glucose monitors from previous years. But I'm excited. Many of you may have seen out between CLOB and the Capitol a big green and white bus. They're out there doing not just a blood sugar test, but a hemoglobin A1C. That kind of gives you your blood sugar over a 2 to 3 week period. It's a very important indicator to find out if you guys are having, or any of your staff might be at risk for prediabetes. So it's a quick test. The results are back in a day or two. I'm glad to go over them with you if you need me to. I'm glad to have some members from Quest, the CEO and the Chief Operating Officer. We're glad to have them. They're a local Georgia company. If you would stand and let us thank you for the testing. And I want to encourage everybody to stand up and clap and then go get healthy. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, we've had a number of distinguished guests this morning. Now we have a number of distinguished former members. I'm going to ask if you will hold your applause. I'm going to introduce and acknowledge folks on the floor. Let's start with former member Melvin Everson. Raise your hand, Melvin. No applause. He deserves it. Representative Ken Vance. He certainly deserves it. Here he is right here. Representative Amy Carter. There she is right here. Representative George Brown, who served this House in the late 90s, I think. George, good to have you back. And former Rep Clay Perkle, I think. Here he is right here. Let's give them all a hearty round of applause, y'all. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you all. It's good to see you. Members, we'll move on to the rules calendar. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 5353?
House Bill 53 by Representative Bonner of the 73rd and others to be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 2, Chapter 4, Title 38 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to Georgia veteran cemeteries so as to allow certain persons to be buried in Georgia veteran cemeteries. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass. Chairman Bonner is recognized to present the bill.
Representative Josh Bonner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I rise to present House Bill 53. This is a measure that was brought to us by the Department of Veteran Services. The bill expands the eligibility for certain service members to be buried in our state veteran cemeteries. Currently, members of the National Guard and Reserves are not eligible unless they retire from that service or receive disability from the VA. Now, those eligible would pay the prevailing VA plot allowance rate to cover the cost of the internment. Right now, it's right around $750. Now, granted, this will impact a very small number of Georgians, but as many of you as well, I believe that this is a benefit that we should extend to anybody who volunteered not only to serve our state, but to defend our nation. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to answer any questions, and I would ask for your favorable consideration.
You have a couple of questions. The gentleman will yield. Representative Hefner to your left has a question. Ladies recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
To my friend, I do.
Is it not true that extending military burial space to veteran spouses honors their sacrifice by ensuring they can be laid to rest alongside their loved ones, reinforcing the nation's commitment to those who have served?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. I believe everyone in this chamber feels the same, that this is a benefit that we absolutely ought to extend to our veterans. Thank
Does
you.
the gentleman further yield?
I do.
This policy not only preserves that tradition for military cemeteries as spaces to honor those and remember those, but it also relieves the burden, like you suggested, in terms of the financial commitment for the family.
Absolutely. And thank you for your service. I appreciate
Absolutely. Thank you for this bill, sir.
Representative Moore to your left has a question.
Good morning, Representative. Does Representative yield?
I do.
Is it not true that on behalf of every single military brat, including myself, across the United States of America, that we appreciate this bill to come forward for us, we, the children of military people?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. And I know that your father had a long and distinguished career and that he is very proud of the service that you now perform. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, will you yield for two more quick questions?
Yes,
Representative
sir.
Griffin to your left, no, to your right, I'm sorry, has a question.
Would a gentleman will?
I do.
Isn't it true that I support this bill as a combat veteran, and from the standpoint of the cemetery in Millersville, Baldwin County, when I was in the Senate, I supported and authored the bill in the Senate to establish that cemetery.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question and the comment. We appreciate your service and everything that you did your first time around to help our veterans.
Representative Clark is recognized for Representative David Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Is it not true that by passing this bill, we are honoring and respecting our veterans by expanding burial rights to these individuals?
Absolutely. This expansion of rights to not only to our veterans but to their dependents, I think, is something that, again, everyone in this chamber can agree on is something that we absolutely owe to our veterans and really is the least that we can do.
Representative Gabe Okoye has a question. This will be the last question, sir, if you'll yield to him.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Is it not true that those of us who are not military veterans also appreciate this bill?
Absolutely. To my friend, I appreciate that comment, and I appreciate your yes vote on this bill. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to yield the well.
Gentlemen, has yielded the well. Thank you for bringing the bill. Is there any objections to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 53. The yeas are 164, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 51-5-1?
House Bill 5-1 by Representative Burchett of the 176 and others being titled an act to amend Chapter 23, Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority so as to authorize the authority to finance and perform certain duties in connection with projects. This bill having referred to the Committee on Natural Resources and Environment. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Excuse me, Mr. Clerk. The gentleman from Waycross. Aren't you from Waycross? I thought you were. Representative Burchett is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. Today I have before you House Bill 51. It's a very simple bill. What this bill seeks to do is allow Georgia municipal gas providers to borrow money from GFA to increase the size of their gas lines. The problem was brought to me by former Chair Perkle. This bill passed out of the chamber last year, House Bill 1294 resoundingly, and that's essentially what the bill does. It's a very simple bill that allows Georgia municipal gas providers to borrow money to increase the size of their supply or their gas system. And that's all I have, Mr. Speaker.
You yield for a question?
I do. Oh, Mr. Speaker, before I yield, I want to recognize my good friend and a point of personal privilege, but Chairman Clay Perkle, who carried this bill last year, and he's come down and watched this thing hopefully pass.
We'll see how you do.
Yes, sir.
He did well. We'll see how you do. Representative Green, Chairman Green, has a question straight up the aisle.
Does the gentleman yield?
To my friend, I do.
Is this, since the House Rural Development Committee sent out a proposal of important issues before them, and this was number one?
Yes, sir. You were right. You're exactly right. One of the recommendations was to be able to provide a mechanism to allow for more gas supply in rural Georgia.
We have a couple other questions, and I'll make sure all the members know we have some folks who are going to speak to this proposition as well. So I want to recognize Representative Joe Campbell now for a question. Representative Campbell, the gentleman yield to Representative Campbell.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do, yes, sir.
Is it not true that this bill could lead to increased job creation and improved energy efficiency in our state?
I believe the gentleman knows what he speaks.
Thank you.
Mr.
Chairman
Speaker,
Martin, you have a question? Do you have a question? Your gentleman is recognized for a question.
Well, Chairman Yield.
I do, yes, sir.
I want to ask you about, you said, I thought I had understood first it was for pipeline. You mentioned sources in pipeline. I just want to make sure I haven't been able to get through every page of the bill. There's adequate, does the gentleman feel there's adequate protection that this would not be used to get in an arbitrage situation that could put the municipal gas companies in a bind if they were?
I do feel comfortable.
If you feel about, I just wanted to ask about that.
I do feel comfortable. Yes. So essentially what we're trying to address is a scenario where a municipal gas company is tapped out and they can borrow money to increase the size of their pipes to service more customers, and then that borrowed money will be paid back by the customers that are utilizing the gas. Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has no further questions.
Very good. I yield the will. Thank you, sir.
Good move. Now, members, we have a couple of speakers. One of them is the chair of the committee that passed this out, and I'm going to begin with representatives opposed to the bill. Representative Sanchez, you're recognized to speak to the bill. Hold 1 minute. Now, speaker's discretion, I'm going to limit opposed and in favor to a maximum of 10 minutes each. Maximum of 10 minutes each. The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to House Bill 51. First, I want to say I definitely understand why this bill is coming through. I understand that there are some energy needs down in South Georgia and certain cities that do need this. However, my concern with this legislation is providing a broad solution to a specific problem. And I think we need to be careful about opening the door to allowing the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority to, and start to be in charge of regulating and sending out loans for natural gas when we already have many private businesses who already work in the natural gas industry, as well as local city gas authorities. And I know that the GFA is already having some issues in regards with what they're already in charge with when it comes to water and sewage. And I feel like adding on another whole industry, even if it's just for a specific issue, in the future it could cause some hardships for the authority in the future. So I believe that we should leave this with the private sector, as well as making sure that with the city authorities that are already working on this, and we can find a solution through those means, instead of adding this authority to the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority. And I also have to mention that, of course, we got to make sure we do everything we're in power to help with the climate disasters that we are seeing, including Hurricane Helene and the horrific damage it is causing to our state, and the increase of these kind of disasters. And that's why we need to make sure we do everything we can to also focus on renewable energy as well and investing in that. And so for that reason, I'm opposing the bill, and I want to ask my colleagues to also oppose as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll yield the well if that's okay. I'll yield the well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has yielded the will. Chair Lady Hagan is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today in support of this measure that strengthens our state's infrastructure and energy security by enhancing the role of GFA in financing and managing natural gas facilities. I want to make it very clear, this GFA does not currently, nor would this bill allow GFA to regulate natural gas. That is not the role of GFA. I want to make sure everybody understands that. But what's important here is that reliable energy infrastructure is the backbone of economic growth, public safety, and quality of life in Georgia, including in our rural communities. Our industries, businesses, and families depend on a steady supply of affordable and secure energy. And this bill ensures that GFA has the necessary authority to support and facilitate these critical projects related to natural gas that are so needed for the people to thrive. This bill addresses a critical need in rural Georgia, where access to reliable and affordable natural gas remains a challenge for many of these communities. Businesses, families, farms in these areas often lack the infrastructure necessary to benefit from natural gas as a cost-effective and efficient energy source. So expanding this role of GFA will help bridge this gap by allowing them to provide financing and support for much-needed projects. We need this in rural areas to lower energy costs, attract new energy industries, and create jobs. So, Mr. Speaker, Georgia has long been a leader in energy innovation and infrastructure investment. This bill is another step toward ensuring that we remain at the forefront of energy security, economic opportunity for everyone, and responsible governance. And I urge you, colleagues, to support this legislation to reinforce our commitment to a stronger, more resilient Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? For what purpose does Chairman Corbett rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that House Bill 51 aligns with Georgia's ongoing efforts to modernize energy infrastructure and ensure a stable, affordable natural gas supply for businesses and residences?
I'm sure this gentleman knows what he speaks. I appreciate your comment. For what purpose does Representative Osteen rise?
Mr. Speaker.
This is a parliamentary inquiry?
Yes, sir.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that granting the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority the power to support natural gas projects will help strengthen Georgia's energy dependence and economic resilience?
Sure, the lady believes in what she speaks. For what purpose does Representative Hefner rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, sir.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that this bill would offer a resource to communities like mine who do not have access to competitive industries in order to help make a more robust infrastructure that will inspire economic growth and development?
I've had many conversations with this lady about her community and how passionate she is about representing them, and you're absolutely correct. Thank you for your question. Thank you for your work for your community. For what purpose does Representative Yerta rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
Is it not true that I was the mayor of a community that had a gas system? And I recognize how important it is for economic development in rural communities and how important this is to financing economic development in those rural communities.
The gentleman knows of what he speaks. As mayor of Sylvester, he did a great job of ensuring that community moved forward. Have all members now voted? All members voted. Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of House Bill 5151, the yeas are 120. The nays are 55. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 147?
House Bill 147 by Representative Thomas, the 21st and others, to be titled an act to amend Chapter 25 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Technology Authority so as to provide for an annual inventory of artificial intelligence usage by state agencies. This bill will have been referred to the Committee on Technology and Infrastructure Innovation. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Thomas is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand before you today to present a bill that's at the intersection of technology and governance, HB 147. This is a bill that requires the responsible and transparent use of artificial intelligence in our state agencies. This bill may look familiar to you as it passed this chamber last session as HB 988. Unfortunately, it didn't make it across to get a vote in the Senate. So as AI technologies become increasingly integrated into our public services, it's critical that we have a clear understanding of how these technologies are being utilized. From education to transportation and every government service, and in between the two, the lack of oversight and basic understanding of AI could lead to unintended consequences, including potential biases, unintended privacy infringements. I guess to say it best would be in the words of my good friend Chairman Perkle, who would say, we just got to make sure it doesn't get too big for its britches. So with that being said, this does two major things. One, it creates the definition of artificial intelligence for the state of Georgia. That's now considered the gold standard across the United States. Many states have adopted this same language that we developed last year. Secondly, it mandates the Georgia Technology Authority take an active role in overseeing AI applications, specifically a comprehensive annual inventory and survey catalog. Requires that AI system is assessed for its impact before it's implemented. This preemptive evaluation will help identify and mitigate potential risks or biases, safeguarding the rights and interests of Georgians. And finally, it requires that the Georgia Technology Authority develop and establish suitable policies, procedures, and have these guidelines provided to us. So with that said, I urge all members of the Assembly to support the bill, which paves the way for more responsive, fair, and efficient government. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to take questions.
Gentleman, yield for a question.
I do.
Representative Jasmine Clark to your left has a question. Ladies recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Thank you so much for bringing this bill. With the rapid emergence of artificial intelligence, I do think we need to get a handle on this. My question, though, is artificial intelligence has been around for a very long time. And there are things that we have been using that we don't even realize is artificial intelligence. So, for example, spam filters in your email. That uses AI, and I don't think a lot of people recognize that. Are there consequences if a agency does not recognize that AI is being used just because they are unfamiliar with how, their technology that they're using is working? Like, is there a penalty if they mess this up?
So there's not. And by the way, that's an excellent question. It's one that we addressed quite a bit last year in committee. The way that we've defined artificial intelligence precludes those particular items that you're talking about. For example, you can even take it so far as to say Excel in some ways has got artificial intelligence in it. So it's defined in a way that would mitigate those concerns. And GTA testified in committee that they were in agreement that that's not going to be an issue. But thank you for bringing it up. That's actually a great question.
Perfect. Thank you.
Representative Silcox, straight up the back, has a question. If you gentlemen will yield. Ladies recognized.
I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
I do.
Isn't it true that you worked with many, many people to develop this particular definition, and is arguably the best definition of artificial intelligence in the United States right now?
I would agree, and I have to tell you, our legislative council, we brought people in from across the country to develop this. This was just an absolute collaboration of a lot of really intelligent people. Very proud of our legislative council and thankful for them and their hard work on this. Fortunately, I get to present it, but it was definitely a collective effort. And this is the definition that is talked about across the United States. And as a matter of fact, as you've seen, it has been adopted in multiple states. So this definition will survive 6 months, which is not easy to do in the technology realm. So thank you. Thank you for the question.
Would you further yield?
I will.
Isn't it also true that this makes a stab at setting ethical boundaries for artificial intelligence for our governmental agencies?
It does, and it's probably one of the single most important things that we can do is make sure that this technology, is incredible and amazing as it is and how transformative it'll be for us in the future. We really need to put some boundaries up now, and this is a good framework to be able to do that. So again, thank you for the question.
Thank you for your work on this bill.
Gentlemen, take one more question. I can tell you're ready to go, but I'll ask you to take one more. Representative Cox to your right up front has a question.
Mr. Chairman, yield.
I do.
Thank you. Is it not true that this bill gives much needed oversight by requiring state agencies to conduct an annual inventory of artificial intelligence usage?
It does, and that's important because we have to make sure that with these policies in place, we're not unintended consequences of possibly sneering somebody up in something or not approving somebody for certain things. Let's put it this way, it keeps the human in the loop, and that's the most important part in the technology realm. So thank you. Yeah, it's a great question.
The gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With that, I ask for your favorable consideration, and I yield the well.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? We're voting. All members voted. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 147. The yeas are 172. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 85?
House Bill 85 by Representative Lever to the 123rd and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 6 and Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions concerning superior courts so as to modify provisions regarding the compensation received by Superior Court judges. This bill then referred to the Committee on Judiciary. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
The gentleman from Elberton, Representative Leverett, is recognized to present the bill. Chairman Leverett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I think it was in Ecclesiastes, the verse, there is nothing new under the sun. Well, I'm proving that, 2,000 years later with my legislative initiatives this year. Just as my last bill was one from last year, this is also a bill from last year. House Bill 85 is basically the bill that passed off of this floor 3 times last year to reform the structure of Superior Court judge pay. So if you recall that bill, let me a little background. Superior Court judges are the judges who are trial court judges in our state, and they're state employees, even though they're positioned all throughout the state in the various circuits. They are state employees, but yet they're paid in a system where the state funds a portion of their salary, and then counties can also, if they're willing, supplement that salary with additional pay called supplements. That has led to a lot of disparities in pay throughout the state, and it's even led to disparities in pay among Superior Court judges and Supreme Court judges, and we're trying to sort of rein that in and implement a system that's more rational and makes more sense. Let me be clear, though, this is not an appropriations bill. We're not appropriating any money. We're not obligating ourselves to appropriate any money, and we're actually doing just the opposite. So what this bill would do is there is a code section currently that has set pay amounts for different state officials, including Superior Court judges. We will strike the numbers from that section with respect to judges. We will replace it with a cap that is tied to what is paid to U.S. District Court judges here in Atlanta, but that's just a cap. It's not an obligation to fund any amount of money. We would hope that would happen, but it is a cap. So we're changing that structure, and that same cap, the cap is expressed as a percentage of that pay, and we're also, in a subsequent bill I hope to bring to you in a few minutes, we're going to do the same kind of system for statewide judges. And we will limit the supplements to 10% of whatever the state pay is, so we can try to bring the pay more in line so that it's consistent throughout the state. We also have a provision, because there are many counties that pay local officials based on what Superior Court judges are paid. We have a provision that will suspend that, so those salaries will stay the same if we do increase the appropriation this year, so that counties won't suddenly be forced with paying higher salaries to their local officials, and they'll have a session next year to come back and change any local laws that they need to change to make those adjustments. So this is basically what we voted off the floor 3 times last year. We've just placed the statewide judges in a separate bill, which I'm going to present to you shortly. This does not change anybody else's pay. I understand there have been some concerns because there are references to legislators in the statute we're amending that we're changing that, but we are not changing legislative pay, nor are we changing the legislative expense accounts. If someone wants to do that, I'm happy to help with that, but that's not this bill. This is just about reforming the structure of the pay of our Superior Court judges. And that's basically the bill, Mr. Speaker. I'll be glad to stand for any questions.
Gentleman has no questions.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your favorable support for House Bill 85.
Let's hope the 4th time's the charm, right? Yeah. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? For what purpose does Representative Reese rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that our Superior Court judges are some of the best judges here in the United States, and that because they are on sync with wanting their colleagues to have equal pay throughout the state, we should be glad to support them in what they do and make sure we pass this bill?
I'm sure yours are over in West Georgia. I know mine down in Negeechee are the best. So, well, in the Negeechee circuit. For what purpose does the leader rise? Leader Demonstration.
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that due to the competitive salaries in the private sector, we need to make sure that we retain and keep great judges that are on the bench currently and recruit new ones for the future, and this legislation helps us to do that?
Agree with you, Mr. Leader. Gentleman knows what he speaks. Have all members voted? Okay, let's see. I think they have. Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of House Bill 85, the yeas are 163, the nays are 7. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 86?
House Bill 86 by Representative Lever to the 123rd and others to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 4574 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to annual salaries of certain state officials and cost of living adjustments so as to revise provisions relating to calculating and setting salaries of justices of the Supreme Court, judges of the Court of Appeals, and the judge of the Georgia statewide business court. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
The gentleman's working his way right on up, aren't you? Representative Leverett is recognized to speak to House Bill 86.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, as promised, the same basic bill, except this applies to our statewide judges, the statewide business court, Court of Appeals, and Georgia Supreme Court, and when they come online, Representative Martin's tax court. It would set their salaries at it does not set their salaries. It sets a cap on their salary at a percentage of that same number. For the statewide business court and Court of Appeals, it would be statewide business court, it's 95%, Court of Appeals would be 99%, and Supreme Court would be 100%. That way we can sort of ensure some sort of salary progression as you kind of move from courts of more limited jurisdiction to court of greater, broader geographic scope and jurisdiction. And when the tax court is online, it would also be at 95% as well. So that's basically that bill. Last year we did all of it in one. We split it up into two this year because there's some, the supplements is not an issue of the appellate and statewide judges. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. Would appreciate your support.
Gentleman has one question to your left. Representative Kelly has a question. If the gentleman yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Chairman Leverett, isn't it true that in the last couple years we've seen some of our state's highest judges decide to leave the bench, some of our brightest minds, so that they could go pursue other opportunities, and this will help us keep those great scholars there?
Yes, sir. I believe it truly will, and that's why it's much needed legislation, and I thank you for that question.
Gentleman has a question to your extreme right over here. Representative Jason Ridley is recognized for a question.
Thank you. Does the gentleman yield?
Against my better judgment, yes.
Oh, good. I won't blame you on that. Is it not true that while some of these judges are leaving to go to the private sector, that once we pass tort reform, that they probably won't have the job that's paying as much as it is right now?
I will leave the answer to that question to the wisdom of every member in this House. But thank you for that high caliber question.
I knew you should have yielded well. Gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask your favorable support of House Bill 86. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of this bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. For what purpose is Representative Hong rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that justices and judges play a fundamental role in upholding the rule of law and should be compensated fairly to reflect the significance of their responsibilities?
I think the lady's absolutely right, and since she comes from that world, I'm sure she knows of what she speaks. All members voted. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 86, the yeas are 167, the nays are 6. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 7373?
House Bill 73 by Representative Green to the 154th, to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Education of Seminole County, approved March 14th, 1983. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
The Dean of this House, Chairman Gerald Dean Green, is recognized to present House Bill 73. Chairman Green.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring you House Bill 73, and it's to amend the act creating the Board of Education of Seminole County, which was approved back in 1983. And all we are doing here is creating a nonpartisan election for these individuals. You're really voting on a local bill, but it has to come through as a general bill. And let me tell you right now that the school board sent me a letter and says, "Dear Representative Green, we want to stress that this statement from the Seminole County Board of Education is supported by both Republican and Democrat board members. While we have not taken official stances on issues in the past, we know that our elected officials hear frequently from other individuals who do not have the interest of rural Georgia as a priority. We wanted you to hear directly from us and wish for an open dialogue on these matters. Therefore, we as the elected voices for the citizens of Seminole County, along with our colleagues across southwest Georgia, submit our values, priorities, and values for your consideration. We are concerned about students, not parties. And so with that, Mr. Speaker, I would ask that the House approve House Bill 73 for this act for Seminole County.
The gentleman yield for a question.
Yes, sir, I would.
Representative Earhart has a question right up the center aisle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
I would.
Is it not true that nonpartisan elections can lead to more unbiased decision making in the Seminole County school system?
I would say that you have the individuals that are no longer concerned so much about parties, but are concerned about what is happening in the community. Thank you.
One more question, if you'll yield to Chairlady Camp to your right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dean Green, is it not true that this bill could enhance voter participation by reducing inflammatory partisan rhetoric in our educational elections?
Well, we're always looking for the best candidates, and that's what we want for the students in southwest Georgia and all across Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No further questions. The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. For what purpose does Representative New rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that transitioning to nonpartisan elections for the Seminole County Board of Elections will enhance governance and reduce political polarization?
I think Representative Green did a nice job of educating us all. I'm sure the lady believes passionately what she just stated. All members voted. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 73, the yeas are 138, the nays are 29. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 116?
House Bill 116 by Representative McDonald, the 26th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 5 of Chapter 2 of Title 35 and Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to Motor Carrier Compliance Division of the Department of Public Safety and Motor Vehicles and Traffic, respectively, so as to change the name of Motor Carrier Compliance Division of the Department of Public Safety to Commercial Vehicle Enforcement. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Motor Vehicles, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative McDonald is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 116 is a bill that addresses an important aspect of highway safety and law enforcement in our state. It also is a change in the name from Motor Vehicle Compliance Division, MCCD, to the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division. Along with this name change, the bill will establish that officers working in this division will be trained, sworn, and certified law enforcement officers. The little history behind the MCCD, back in the late 90s, the DOT had their inspections division, which dealt with weights, and the Public Service Commission had their inspection that dealt with truck safety. So the legislature at that time decided to combine these two and put it under the Department of Public Safety. In this, when they did that, they made these officers they made them trained, sworn, and certified then, but it's never been codified. So not only with this name change, they will be codifying that all of these officers will be trained, sworn, and certified. Over the years, I've been carrying legislation for the Department of Public Safety with MCCD, trying to pronounce Motor Carrier Compliance Division. My friend from Scravon, Georgia, he's always brought that to my attention that I had trouble doing this. But so taking this and changing the name to Commercial Vehicle Enforcement will make it easier for me to present bills in the future. I yield for any questions.
Gentleman has a couple of questions. To your left, Representative Hefner has a question.
I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Sir, is it not true that I will be supporting this bill as the former Motor Vehicle Registration Director for Richmond County, serving over 207,000 residents in that area?
I do appreciate your support, and two, I appreciate the support on this bill with the Georgia Motor Truckers Association also, and yours too.
Do you further yield, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
It is my professional opinion that the proposed name change offers a much needed clarification and distinction to the vital aspect of this service to our economy, sir.
It'll help you pronounce it better and me too in the future.
Thank you, sir.
To your right, Representative Corbett has a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Is it not true that by supporting this bill, we are taking a proactive step toward improving road safety and regulatory compliance within Georgia's commercial transportation sector?
The man is what he speaks.
Thank you for the bill.
Representative Meeks to your right. Oh, you're looking already. Good. You know the lay of the chamber.
I might want to yield to well.
Did you yield or did you not yield?
I'll take his question.
One more. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Quickly, one last time. What does the MCCD stand for?
Hold on, we got to get my paper back. Shoot. Motor Carrier Compliance Division. All right, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well and look forward to your favorable support.
Wise man. Just to shout out, those folks do a great job of protecting Georgians on the road, so we appreciate the work they do, and thanks for bringing the bill. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 116, the yeas are 162, the nays are 5. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 155?
House Bill 155 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 36 and Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to procedure for resolving annexation disputes so as to revise procedures for selection and objection to arbitrators. This bill having referred to the Committee on Governmental Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Anderson, you ready? Representative Anderson is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I bring to you today House Bill 155. This is a follow-up to a bill we passed 3 years ago, which addressed some issues with the annexation dispute resolution process. This bill clears up the logjam that we found after we made the process work better. What we're doing here is we're expanding the pool that DCA can pull from to appoint a resolution board to hear the disputes. It's also clarifying their appointing abilities and making the system so that DCA is not just kicking these disputes out of the process and into the court system. Mr. Speaker, that's in a nutshell what the bill does, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
The gentleman has a couple of questions. Representative Fleming, be recognized for a question. He's to your right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Is it not true that this bill will help local governments resolve annexation disputes more effectively, reducing unnecessary delays and confusion?
The gentleman knows what he speaks. It absolutely does.
Gentleman, yield to another question. Representative Jasmine Clark to your left.
Yes, sir.
For a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
For this bill, does the arbitrators, do any of them have to be from that local area, or is this picking from a pool of people all across Georgia?
It's the pool is people all across Georgia. What we've done to expand that pool, there are defined qualifications for the people that are in the pool now. We've expanded that to include county managers, county administrators, city managers, and city administrators, because they have the knowledge base for the most part to help render these decisions. But it is a statewide pool.
Thank you.
So Representative Thomas to your right has the final question.
Do you yield it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I want to tell you thank you for bringing this bill. Is it not true that HB 155 it was developed with input of GMA and ACCG and other stakeholders to make sure that the interests of not just counties, municipalities, but all the affected parties were addressed?
That is true, yes. And just to kind of clarify that comment, ACC and GMA are usually on one or the other side of these disputes, and DCA is who has to help resolve them. So yes, this was a collaborative effort.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that true that that is an amazing feat when it comes to annexation?
I think the gentleman knows what he's talking about. Mr. Speaker, I would ask for the body's favorable consideration, and I will yield the well.
You're making history on getting them together. The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? Hearing none, the committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 155, the yeas are 172. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 90, 9-0?
House Bill 90. House Bill 90 by Representative Stration of the 104th to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48.5, 7.4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to preferential assessment for bona fide conservation use property and bona fide residential transitional property so as to increase the maximum acreage to qualify for an assessment. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Majority Leader F. Stration is recognized to present the bill. Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I bring before you, ladies and gentlemen of the House, a proposition today which is critically important to family farms across Georgia. The next two measures are, I think, in recognition of the strain that all of Georgia, and particularly our number one industry, agriculture, has been under since Hurricane Helene, that we need to look at the needs of family farms and specifically the property tax burden that they face if not for CUVA, which is the Conservation Use Valuation Assessment. It is a means by which between farms between 10 acres and 2,000 acres can enter into an agreement where property taxes are determined at the use level, not at the market value assessment. And this is very important to our state because for agricultural, forestry, conservation use, that includes farming, livestock, poultry, dairy, timber production, reforestation, and conserving wildlife habitats, CUVA can be utilized for land, and that allows for the preservation of family farms, an important public policy, I think, interest for all of us, that we preserve family farms in our state. And it does so that farmers are able to actually work the land and use it for the stated purposes here. You know, in our agriculture community, often our farmers may have quite a bit of land, but in order to fund their operations, they may not have a lot of liquid cash, available funds. And if not for CUVA and the land were to be valued at the market level, it would be incredibly expensive to be able to maintain those farms. In fact, that would not be possible for many farmers. Now, this bill simply increases the cap from 2,000 acres to 4,000 acres. And the reason that that's so important is many family farms may have acreage that exceeds 2,000 acres. But unless you put that land in multiple family members' names, there may be an issue that would come up. And actually, we've seen that, as I've heard from folks who have had to put farmland in several family members' names. They're in a position where if something happens, say to the father or mother who originally was, overseeing the family land, and then maybe the children, the descendants have a dispute, that could end up in probate court trying to figure out what to do for the future of the family farm. It's far better if we increase the cap in a meaningful way, but in a reasonable way as well. And so by doubling the cap from 2,000 acres to 4,000 acres, we'll be able to make it clear that this General Assembly is standing with Georgia farmers, that we understand the needs of family farms, and it will really be an update based upon what we are seeing right now in implementation of CUVA, a very successful program, which will allow us to preserve family farmland in our state. Now, I'm bringing forward to you two measures today I'll speak to separately, but the bottom line is Legislative Council advises this will require a constitutional amendment. And so I'm asking you on the next two measures, this bill and the following resolution, to vote in favor of the measures, to stand with Georgia farmers, to make it clear that you care about Georgia farmers, and that it's important to you to preserve family farms in our state, really the backbone of our state. And Mr. Speaker, with that, I'll yield for questions.
You have a couple of questions. Do you want to yield for a couple of questions?
Yes, sir.
To your left, Representative Kelly has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the leader yield?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Leader, isn't it true with this piece of legislation we're going to allow more families to hold on to their family's farmland because we're going to reduce the financial incentive and financial pressure they would have to sell it?
That's absolutely true. By your vote in favor of House Bill 90 today, you are sending a clear message that you stand with Georgia farmers, that you support the ability for family farms to continue to operate into the future. Thank you for the question.
To your left again, Representative Petrie would like to ask a question. The gentleman's recognized.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Leader, is it not also true, you've spoken a lot about farmers, land all across this state is protected from development by having this conservation use purpose. That is good for the environment, and that's the only reason 2/3 of this state remains in forests.
I thank the chairman for the question, and absolutely that is true. This CUVA is available for conservation of land as well, and that it allows for, through these CUVA agreements, a 10-year period in which that land will stay in that use for that conservation or agricultural use. So it's critical for the preservation of, I think if you care about conserving our natural resources in our state, that land be continue to remain pristine for the future along the lines of conservation, which I know I certainly care about for my boys' future, you'll vote yes on HB 90. Mr. Speaker, with that, I will yield the well and ask the body's favorable consideration on this measure.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? For what purpose does Representative Williams rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that House Bill 90 enhances Georgia's commitment to the Georgia farmers without costing the state of Georgia? Is it not true?
I'm sure the gentleman understands the proposition and knows what he speaks. For what purpose does Chairman of the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs rise? Representative Dickey.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that this bill builds upon the already successful and essential program that farmers use, CUVA, and this is a small measure to improve upon that program? Isn't that true, Mr. Speaker?
I know you know what you speak, sir, because you're right there in this fight. For what purpose does Representative Hefner rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is it not true that there are over 18,000
Is this a parliamentary inquiry?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, ma'am. I know you knew that.
Is it
State your
not
inquiry.
true that Richmond County has over 18,000 acres of farmland that includes 123 farms and 154 acres designated specifically to small farmers in Augusta, Richmond County?
As I said earlier, you're passionate about your community. I know the lady knows of what she speaks.
Is it not further true that this bill would go in support of those in my community who were directly affected by Hurricane Helene and the losses, the devastating losses that we sustained during that tragedy?
Absolutely no doubt about that. For what purpose does Wilp Park rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that according to the 2022 Census of Agriculture, the average farm size in Georgia is 253 acres?
I'm sure there are a lot of small farms in Georgia. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And that's a good thing as well. For what purpose does Representative Cannon rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Representative Chaz Cannon.
Mr. Speaker,
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that the CUVA is an absolutely critical tool for Georgia agriculture?
I've heard that stated many times. For what purpose does Representative Kelly rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that agriculture in Georgia relates to 1 in 7 jobs, and they're our state's largest employer?
I've heard it's the #1 industry.
And Mr. Speaker, isn't it further true that it's becoming pretty clear on the board who supports those industries and those jobs and who doesn't?
We're going to lock it down in just a minute. I'm going to take one more, and that's from the author of the bill, Representative Estration.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry, sir.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that this is about property tax relief for Georgia farmers, and that voting red against this bill is a message that should be sent to Georgia farmers to know where members stand on the election next year?
I understand the gentleman believes in what he speaks. I think all members have voted, so Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of House Bill 90, the yeas are 111, the nays are 62. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Members, we have some, as you all know, members of the committees, we have a very aggressive committee process going on, a lot of committee meetings this afternoon, so I'm going to, and because I scheduled some very important invite resolutions this morning, and we kind of got behind the 8 ball here, so I'm going to push 2 bills, House Bill 262 and House Resolution 32, until the next legislative day, which is tomorrow. On Friday, we'll take those bills up and some additional bills tomorrow. We have a couple of motions we're going to consider now. For what purpose does Representative Carson rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House rules be temporarily suspended such that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Carson, the 46, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48.8 3, the official code of Georgia annotated relating exemptions from sales and use taxes.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Ways and Means. For what purpose does Representative Martin rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee. The clerk has the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Martin of the 49th, being titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to joint county and municipal sales and use tax.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Ways and Means. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Guy Rutland, Jr. Honoring Melissa Mims for her outstanding contributions to the community through Showtime Pros Incorporated. Honoring the life and legacy of Bruce Thompson, recipient of the Cartersville Bartow County Chamber of Commerce 2024 Chairman's Award. Recognizing and commending the Ringgold High School JROTC Tiger Guard Drill Team. Recognizing May 2025 as Osteoporosis Awareness and Prevention Month. Congratulating the Forsyth Central High School One Act Play Program for winning the 2024 GHSA Class 6A State Championship. Recognizing February 13th as Donor Day at the State Capitol, recognizing and commending the Shepherd Center upon its 50th anniversary. Congratulating North Forsyth High School competition cheerleading team for winning the 2024-2025 GHSA Class 6A competition cheerleading state championship. Recognizing the Association of Georgia General Aviation Airports as an industry association for general aviation airports. Commending Corbin McKay, Cartersville High School's 2025 star student. Commending Melissa Moore, Cartersville High School's 2025 star teacher. Congratulating and commending Monica Whitfield, the Cartersville Bartow County Chamber of Commerce 2024 Volunteer of the Year. Congratulating and commending Shaw Industries Group, the Cartersville Bartow County Chamber of Commerce 2024 Manufacturer of the Year. Congratulating and commending the Bartow County Sheriff's Office. Recognizing the members of the Georgia Black Republican Council. Congratulating and commending Councilmember Angelette Meelan for receiving the 2025 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Service Leadership Award. Recognizing and commending the National Association of Black Women in Construction. And recognizing and commending the National Association of Black Women in Construction, and for other purposes. That completes the reading of the privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privilege resolutions? Hearing none, the resolutions are adopted. I appreciate the members willing to work with the chair this afternoon so we can get on to our committee meetings. We will hear every afternoon order tomorrow. Those of you who signed up today, rest assured I'll be with you here until the sun goes down tomorrow, so we can hear all afternoon orders. We'll hear them all tomorrow. If you signed up, it'll just roll over until tomorrow. Now we're going to begin any committee meeting that was scheduled for 1 p.m. will automatically roll back 30 minutes. If you were scheduled for a committee meeting at 1, move back 30 minutes, so we'll begin at 1:30. So that will be the chain of events through the afternoon. We'll have some announcements this time. Chairman Corbett is recognized for announcement. Representative Klain, you're on deck. Chairman Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Motor Vehicles Committee will be meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, room 606, CLOB. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
My friend, Representative Dewey McClain, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Working Family Caucus will meet in room 307 upon adjournment. We are having barbecue, and today's topic will be key housing and homelessness, and UAW and the International Association of Machinists are sponsoring the lunch. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative McLean. Leader F. Stration is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee chairman's lunch will be in room 403 upon adjournment. 403. Thank you.
Chairman Tarvin is recognized for an announcement. Chairman Tarvin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Budget and physical let me start over. Budget and Physical Affairs Oversight will meet in CLOB 515 at 1:30. CLOB 515 at 1:30.
5:15 at 1:30. Chairman Jaspers, Chairman of Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Transportation members, we're at 1:30 and 6:06, and you know the bill that'll be there, so I hope to see you there.
If you have a page today, you need to come down front just as soon as we finish these announcements. Representative Jasmine Clark, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the Gwinnett delegation, we have a call today with our Superior Court judge, our Chief Superior Court judge, today at 3 o'clock p.m. Please check your calendars or your emails for the Zoom link. 3 o'clock today. Thank you.
3 o'clock today. Representative Ballard has an announcement. Representative Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Education Curriculum Subcommittee will meet at 1:30 today in room 506 CLOB. Thank you.
Chairman Powell is recognized for an announcement.
To the members of Regulated Industries, we have the Regulated Industries Regulatory Subcommittee and the Special Action Subcommittee. Both of them will
suspend just for a minute, Mr. Chairman. Let's do it again.
To the members of Regulated Industries, both subcommittees of regulatory and of special action will meet at the same time jointly together. Hopefully it will still be at 1:30 if transportation will get their business done quicker. Please be there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Gunther, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Judiciary will meet in room 132 at 1:30 this afternoon. We have a good list of bills to go through.
Chairman Ballinger, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Judiciary Juvenile Committee is going to be meeting at 1:30 in room 406 over in the CLOB. So please be there, room 406 in the CLOB, 1:30. Thank you.
Chairman Blackman, Ways and Means Chair, is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Ways and Means subcommittees will meet this afternoon starting around 3:30 in room 403. Thank you.
That completes our announcements. Don't forget, if you have a page, you need to join me down front. The Majority Leader of this House is recognized for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 9 a.m. on Friday, February 21st, 2025.
On the motion of the Majority Leader, this House stand adjourned until 9 a.m. Friday, February the 21st, 2025. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes clearly have it. We are adjourned.
We're here every day before 7. He ain't. No sleepy.